and welcome to World Insight with me, Tian Wei. Our year-end special program on the Chinese movies. The China Film Administration released earlier that China's box office revenue in the year 2025 exceeded 50 billion yuan, or around $7 billion by December 13th. Data shows also China's animated film box office for 2025 already topped the 25 billion yuan, which is around $3.5 billion, the highest gross for animated movies in China. Ne Zha 2, followed by Zootopia 2 and Nobody, made the top three in the box office chart. The Chinese film box office is reaching new milestones according to these data, a reflection of a nourishing movie industry and its resilience in the current economy. In the bigger picture, what do we know about the Chinese consumers' confidence reflected by the movie market? Looking beyond the domestic market, what does that number tell us about the impact of the Chinese films in the global film industry? Let's take a look at the latest discussion on all of these. Joining us in London, Chantal Rickards OBE, British television and film executive, former chief executive officer of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts in Los Angeles, and also in Beijing. We are joined by Song Liu, independent film producer. In Beijing as well, David Moser, professor with Capital Normal University, who has been with us over the years to comment on cultural issues. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, joining us, and Happy New Year to you in advance. We are seeing a great box office here in China for films, 50 billion yuan or $7 billion over the year. Given the fact that the movie industry worldwide is experiencing some challenges, what does that say, Chantal, to you about China's movie market?
Well, I think this year has been a tremendous year for Chinese cinema. So congratulations, first of all. Lovely to be here, and thank you for asking me.
Good to see you again.
I think Ne Zha clearly has been a wonderful success, and deservedly so. It's the right film at the right time. It's made well. It's been professionally marketed, and it's found an audience that has grown and grown, not only inside China, but most importantly outside China. And I think that's very good for us all, frankly. So yes, a tremendous year, increasing quality and very, very good marketing. I think those are the things that sort of, to me, have been notable particularly. And also the exploitation of intellectual property. Zootopia, which you brought in from Disney into China this year, has also been tremendously successful. So animation is having a great boom time. Yeah. And I think it's the right time for that. People love animation. Most of the people on the planet now have grown up with animation, and that's why you've got a wider and wider audience for it.
That's very true. Song, is that good news to you as a film producer?
It's a good news for us as a filmmaker. The film market is having good. The data shows a mature market where domestic film are leading through strength, not isolation. For audience connection and diversity, local stories can resonate deeply, and also the industry growth and the quality. We see the success that built on a complete upgraded system, and also the investment in the world-class technology and the skilled talent pool allow us to tell our story with the highest production quality.
What about for you, David? I mean, you obviously is one of the ardent supporters of movies. I know you've been popping into the movie theaters to watch some of the latest big names in the box office. Tell us more about what you see over there.
I always think the Chinese film audience is very interesting because they're kind of bicultural. They've grown up, especially the young people, they've grown up watching lots and lots of Hollywood movies. So they know that world very well. They know those techniques, they know the style, and they know how to resonate with it. But they also are really familiar with with older Chinese films, and then the later Chinese films that are very, very, very Chinese. So in terms of box office, if there's a great Chinese film, they'll fill the theaters, and if it's a Hollywood film, they'll fill. There's no dichotomy there. The thing that I see is different is the challenge of bringing these domestic films that the Chinese audiences really love and exporting them and have the West, fall in love with him in the same way.
Yeah.
Ne Zha, I think, was a breakthrough with Ne Zha, but I think it's still not quite as accessible to foreign audiences as Disney films are to Chinese audiences, and they need to get up to that level, I think.
We're going to go to that topic about how these cultural exchanges can take place when it comes to movies, but let's focus on the ones that are doing really well in Chinese box office this year. It's mainly cartoons, as you know. It's Ne Zha 2 and also Zootopia 2, followed by some other top runners. So altogether, it seems that we are having 25 billion yuan animated film box office for the year 2025, 3.5 billion US dollars. Why this time? It seems when the movie markets around the world are going a little bit weak, we're seeing the Chinese market mainly embracing cartoon movies.
Well, I think the success of animation in 2025 reveals a fundamental shift. The form is no longer a genre, but also premier medium for blockbuster storytellings. The animation films could take the #1 and the #2 spots overall. That shows Chinese audience of all ages now see animation as a vehicle for the year's most important culture and entertainment events. This breaks the old just for kids rule. Two major factors that are at play. The first, stories have grown up. Films like Ne Zha 2 or Zootopia 2 explore complex themes. I think identity, social pressure, and justice, and also the craft has reached a new peak. The technical quality of top-tier Chinese animation is now world-class. This artistic ambition demands to be seen on the big screen.
Chantal, we are seeing these two movies coming at quite critical time of the year. One is during the Spring Festival, which is Chinese Lunar New Year, for example, Ne Zha 2, and Zootopia 2, which is nearing almost the Christmas season. Of course, many young people here also celebrate Christmas as well. So how significant these days festivals like these are for the Chinese market? What does that say about the nature of the market these days?
Well, I think it's very important that the launches are done around big festivals and public holidays. Obviously, you've got a greater available audience, but also you can generate so much publicity around a time where families are talking to each other and sharing ideas and sharing experiences. And that, of course, is perfect for the holiday season. So, I mean, yes, Zootopia has stuck to the end of the year and has done a great box office then. And your Spring Festival, equally for Ne Zha, has done the same thing.
Yeah.
But that, to me, is all about marketing, really. It's about marketing to the right audiences at the right time when they are available to go and see a movie and do it as a shared experience among the family. That's the one thing about animation. It's become cross-generational. So every generation will now want to go and see an animated film together. They're no longer for children, and I think they need to be seen quite differently in the way that we appreciate movies going forward.
Zootopia 2, which the whole Disney company almost shipped themselves over a special plane to China to do the premiere in Shanghai, where there is a Disney park, obviously. But the promotion for that started weeks and even months ago. Ne Zha 2, meanwhile, there were promotions about that months ahead, because that has also been another making of a big movie with years of audience expectations. What does that say to the winner takes all almost in the movie theater these days worldwide, including here in China?
Well, I think if we just take Disney and Zootopia as the first example, strangely, the film is called Zootropolis here in the United Kingdom, but it is indeed the same movie. They have understood quite clearly how much money that has made for them, and that marketing has paid off. It's obviously much easier to promote a sequel than it is to promote the the number one film.
Sure.
Once you've got an audience that already knows it, is familiar with it, and understands it, you're then pushing against an open door, and you can spend your money more cleverly, more strategically, and in a way that is more targeted to the people that you know are already fans of that brand. So I think what China has begun to understand very quickly is how they can market better. They are now seeing the American model being played out in front of them by Disney in China, and they are copying that and making sure that they are taking the same advantages that you can get.
So, what about that winner takes all phenomenon we are seeing in the Chinese box office? A few movies that is really holding up to the sky.
So first, the most importantly, the core message is about inclusion and overcoming prejudice is universal human. This doesn't feel like a foreign lesson, but a shared value. Make the story feel personal and for Chinese viewers. I think Disney built a real culture bridge. The dedicated land at the Shanghai Disneyland isn't just a theme park, it's a lasting physical connection to the story's world, turning fans into a loyal community. Third, I think as a beloved sequel, it arrived with built-in affection. It delivered more of what audience love with higher artistic ambition, which feels like a word, not just a business decision.
These films that are so successful, they become a sort of a brand name, and it becomes. Yeah, I mean, look at the Terminator. You know, it became this series, and it's no longer just a series of movies. It's actually a kind of an icon. It's a cultural icon. So the challenge is, it's not that hard to initiate that kind of iconic quality within the culture. The difficulty is trying to do the same thing outside the culture. So you know, with Disney Park, you're also influencing their opinions of all of the Disney movies and characters, and it's becoming a part for young Chinese kids. They can't tell the difference between that Disney sort of thing and the Chinese aspect. For them, it's all the same thing. So it's invested and sort of embedded in the culture. If they can do that with Zootopia, then that would be fantastic, because that's obviously another one. The trick is, as I say, can the same thing happen with Ne Zha? Can it happen that young kids are watching Ne Zha in America, and they grow up with it, and then they're next you see lunch boxes with Ne Zha on them. It's a different thing. I think with China, the market it's very possible that these things could become embedded here culturally. I'm not so sure it has succeeded in the other direction.
What do you think? Why not yet?
I think a lot of it is the unfair beginning that, first of all, English is the global language. So there's a huge number of English-savvy people here who can watch those movies with the original language and don't even have to look at subtitles, right? So for them, like I say, they're bicultural with movies. They know all about Hollywood and their ability to accept them very, very quickly. Not so much in the United States. I don't know about Great Britain, but Americans don't like to watch movies with subtitles, and they certainly don't like to hear them dubbed. So you've got to have somehow something that can transcend just language and just culture and be something that's just amazing and
one could
incredible.
argue cartoon probably is already one of the best options in that regard.
Yes, absolutely.
But the dialogues are much less,
exactly right.
and cultural phenomena tend to be less obvious.
And also, both adults and children are attracted to it.
David insists if it is not a movie cross-culturally successful, it's not a successful movie. Chantal, what do you think?
No, I don't quite agree with that, and I'm not entirely sure that's what David was saying. I think the uptake of Chinese films globally is going to get greater and greater for lots of reasons. One is that I think dubbing and translations is going to get better and better, and it's going to be much cheaper to make them more culturally aligned in their voiceover and the script that will very closely match the audiences around the world. And so that's a massive opportunity for Chinese product going towards the West. And I mean, clearly, the technical services that China is now offering and the possibilities behind AI will accelerate all of that. So, I also think that the Chinese have completely understood the power of merchandising. We talked briefly about lunchboxes. The power of merchandising is enormous. Once you've got that lunchbox in a little girl's bedroom or that she takes to school every day, that character becomes part of her everyday existence, and she will more and more want content that is provided with those characters in it. And I think, again, that's something quite new to China that they have really taken up. And yes, they may have copied what America is doing, but let's not forget that I think the 30 movies 30 domestic movies in the Chinese market this year have grossed over 100 million yuan, which means that actually it isn't just about tentpole movies. Clearly, that's where the really big bucks are, but it's also about a second tier of films that are full of different storylines, and whether it's war movies or emotional dramas. Those two are doing well in China.
Right.
So it isn't just the big blockbuster animation things.
Yeah.
And I think we mustn't forget that.
On the other hand, we are seeing some very important trends. They're not new anymore. For example, people tend to stay at home to watch movies. They can just put it onto their home big screen, and it's quite comfortable as well. Meanwhile, you also see AI could play such an important role in terms of technical production. And certainly that challenges some of the most important sequels that boast the best special effects. So that is already part of real life. How is the movie industry and how is the market digesting all of these latest trends?
I think that actually we should encourage people to come together in a social environment to watch content. I think further driving particularly young people into a space of isolation where they are consuming content purely on their own is great in part, but not, it doesn't do much for the collective humankind, if you like. I love going to a movie theatre. I love the shared experience. I love to know when other people are going to laugh and when I laugh, or whether people jump from fright in the cinema. I really enjoy that. We are social animals, and I think it's very, very good for us to come together in a movie theatre.
You know, I spent a little time this summer in the United States, and I went to some movies, and first of all, the seats now are so comfortable. They're the kind of rocking like backwards seats that's like your couch in the living room. Not only do they have snacks, but I went to a movie theater with my sister that actually served food. And you could sit there at dinner time, eat a dinner while watching the movie. And I thought, okay, this is a strategy. They're saying people like to watch movies at home because it's so convenient. So they make the movie theater more like home. You're just at home. You're in your easy chair and you're eating, while you're watching the movie. Yeah. I think it should be a community experience, but it's also an artistic experience. Movie directors hate the idea of watching their movies at home, right? You need to go in the theater and experience the way you're supposed to do it. Yeah. For me, eating there is a kind of a distraction. But if it brings in people, I know.
Right.
Then,
well,
okay.
as you know,
That's
many theaters here in China even have massage chairs. So you sit there, you got the massage for the first 2 to 3 minutes. Before you go to sleep, the movie starts. So that's how it works. But having said that, though, there is one important thing that we did not mention, even though it might not be pleasing to the ears of the movie producers that we are having in our panel. We are seeing challenges for Hollywood, for example. We're also seeing challenges for movie producers around the world, including in this country as well, about the fact that audience watching habits are changing, about the fact that there are more options for the audience, and they are probably more interested in the social media short dramas. So how do you see the profession can better adapt to these evolving habits, while at the same time be able to provide some of the best quality products to the audience?
People do spend more time on their phones or on their tablet. And also there are shorter forms that's available to the young generations. Like for people that's younger than me, like teenagers, they grow up watching on their phones now by watching movies. So when I grew up, I watched movies. But when the people who's younger than me, they grow up by watching phones, and also they hold their phone vertically.
Right.
That's how they understand the cinema. Maybe in the future, they think the cinema is supposed to be vertical.
I'm looking forward to it.
The format. But I
It's
think
that's a good thought.
a nice idea,
Yeah,
Song,
it's a
but
good thought.
your eyes are vertical. They're not that way. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the format is now the barrier for the content. The goal is to make the content that for all generations and for all the audience. We just focus on good content that tell compelling stories. We can watch short content as well. We also can spend 1 hour to watch a movie. I think the goal is to make the content that's really compelling to the audience, to all generations.
For me, I've seen a kind of a gradual, sort of intensification of the difference between the blockbuster film that's going to bring lots of
course,
people in
an
a
art
big
movie,
theater,
art house
and
movie.
the so-called what we used to call art films, yeah, the art house films, or not necessarily. I mean, just serious films that aren't even generated, aren't made to generate huge audiences. They're meant to be an artistic expression, right? When I was in college, we would go to these movie theaters that didn't need to fill it up. Just get 50 or 100 people in is fine. And you're watching these classic art films, European directors and early
Sounds you're very
Scorsese and all these
reminiscent.
people. But nowadays, it seems to me like if the movie theaters need to financially stay in place, that they have to go for these blockbusters because you've got to fill the theater. In this case, a lot of so-called art films, watching a film on a pad can be very close to the same experience when it doesn't involve special effects and widescreen. It involves close-ups and emotions. I think that the art film, the serious films are still being made. It may be that we're just going toward an era in which theaters are for something,
Right.
spectacular, and then art films can be like reading a book at home.
Right. Meanwhile, we're also seeing consolidations, apparently, of the movie industry worldwide. Just some of the latest example is exciting enough. The Netflix and also Paramount Skydance are both bidding for Warner Brother. So for the WBD, and we are seeing the prices going ever higher for that regard. Many believe this is going to be an interesting story because it shows what is going to be the future trends, whether it is about the platforms like Netflix providing a new way of reaching your audience for the traditional studio, or you're likely to see consolidations of studios worldwide, especially those in Hollywood. Chantal, you've been an insider throughout your career. What do you make of the latest case studies?
I would say that I think it's about consolidation. Most specifically, it is about efficiency. It is about trying to keep costs down, not increase them. And I think that you can do that through scale. It's about the numbers game. It's about what you can afford. And I think that the consolidation is basically saying this is what the super platforms think they can afford by creating bigger and bigger organizations and that are truly global.
Dong, what do you think? At the time when the cultural industry here in this country is rising, certainly go with the digital latest on the phone and on tablets. But what about in movie theaters? Is it going to be part of the consolidation? Watching Paramount, Netflix, watching the Paramount Skydance vis-a-vis the Netflix for the Warner Brothers. What are Chinese cultural business persons thinking?
With less studios, we have less choice. We're going to be controlled by big studios. So the smaller studios or mid-level production companies might be harder to survive because the market gonna taken by these large companies. So for creators, we might gonna have less diverse content, maybe.
A lot of people are concerned, and I certainly am, to see that there's so few huge conglomerates that control. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them, Sony and these big things that control the entire global entertainment field. It's a little too much when you concentrate that much power and money with a few conglomerates. Then I think Sony's right. You do lose huge swaths of entertainment that you would normally be able to see. Right now, for me, Netflix seems pretty good. They have a lot of Chinese content. My Chinese wife spends all day, or when she's on holiday, watching Chinese films on Netflix. And if you remember the Three Body Problem, they aired both the Chinese version, the long TV series version, and the 8-part foreign version. And that's great. If we get a conglomerate that's more interested in one than the other, it just disappears. So I think it's true. It's something we need to worry about. No matter how it comes out, the bigger they get, the less the artistic aspect stays there. All becomes more commercial.
I know every one of you have the enthusiasm of going into the theaters during the New Year time and the Lunar New Year time. What kind of movies do you want to watch? Chantal?
Oh, I've got a very soft heart. I love a rom-com, a romantic comedy. So I'm going to seek out whatever is on at the cinema over the weekend, and if there's a romantic comedy, that's what I'll be watching.
I certainly understand what you're talking about. And Song, what about for you?
Okay, I'm gonna bring my family to the comedy, what's in the theater. I think that's the time for all family get together to watch movies.
Sounds like a great idea. David? Watching it on Netflix with your wife?
Yeah, well, I don't want to see Spider-Man 13. I've had enough of that. And no more superheroes, or at least do another thing. I saw a Chinese film called Ni Hao Li Huan Ying, and it was so moving. I actually cried. Some of my students, I'd like to see more movies like that are just about family, touch.
Drama.
I'm old and I'd love to see a movie
stories.
like that.
I see. I see. You have a soft heart. Thank you so much for all of you. Appreciate it, and Happy New Year to you and to our audience as well. Thank you. Happy New Year. That's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to know more, search World Insight or check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei on behalf of the team. Thanks for being with us.